Guys, it is Mike from Baltimore Rides here, wrapping up Saturday the 31st. March is over, guys. Done. It is the wee hours of the morning. It's been a long day for me, guys. Today was a little bit of a longer grind than the past couple nights have been. And I'll tell you for why. Well, for one thing, sorry, excuse me about that. Ginger ale, great for your stomach, but very, very bubbly. I started a little bit earlier than normal. I went and visited my mom this morning. And when I left Sinai, it was like 11:45, and there was no sense in going home to get sleep. I had been there since 9 o'clock. So I just went and started work. So I started work a little bit earlier than normal. Excuse me. I'm very refluxy or gassy this evening. I started work a little bit earlier than normal, so that already increased my day, my work day. And then it was really a grind today. Not a lot of double-digit fares. Again, I stayed local. I don't have any Quests or DC incentives right now from Uber. My Lyft incentives are, power driver bonus, which I knew I wasn't going to get this week because I haven't been driving enough during peak hour times. So I really just grinded. And, it was a steady day. I'm not going to say it was a bad day. The final numbers are really good. I'll get to them in a minute. But no real big fares. I think the biggest fare of the day was $14. Yeah, something like $16 maybe. I mean, nothing, no $20, $30 fares, nothing gigantic today at all. But a lot of $337, $337, $337, $337 minimums. Just a lot. And really, it adds up. I mean, it adds up. I had a great night, but a lot of grinding trips, a lot. Used more than a half a tank of gas, which is not normal for me. On average, I typically, in Baltimore, I will use a little bit under a half a tank of gas. When I go to DC, it obviously is more because it's 60 miles one way just to get there. But for a Baltimore night, to go over a half a tank of gas spent is a lot. That's a lot of mileage. I haven't looked at the final number of miles that I've driven yet. But I finished the night at $247. Surge was consistent. There were lots of moments where I was able to get Lyft or Lyft or Uber surge. But again, plus 25, plus 50%, plus 60, 70% with Uber. But really that's taking a $3 fare and making it a $5 fare. Nothing times two or anything like that. I think that I had one Lyft fare that was a plus 100%, so that was a times two fare. But it was, 1.1 miles. So basically it was a $3 fare became a $6 fare. And then I had a bunch of Uber fares that were like 1.6, 1.7. That again, they went from $3.50 to $5-6. So it was just a lot of grinding tonight, guys. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm tired. I got up early this morning at like 8:30 to be at the hospital by 9. Well, I didn't go directly to the hospital. My uncle, who lives in Virginia, came up to see my mom, his sister, and he hadn't seen her since the stroke happened on Thursday. So, and at the same time, I brought a painting back that is an old family painting of him from eons ago that my mom had, and I brought it back from when I went down to Virginia to resolve all her stuff. So he was coming up today to visit my mom, wanted me to bring the painting over, which meant I had to get up earlier than just going to the hospital early to go over to the storage unit where I keep all of her stuff, dig through it to find the painting that we were talking about, and then put that in the car, bring it to him, blah, blah, blah. So, like I said, I had to leave my house at like 9. I was up by 8:30. I'm running on 4 hours of sleep, give or take. So, long day. I'm hurting. My back is tight. I've driven a lot more hours tonight than I have on average. Like tonight is like a 12, 13 hour night. I haven't done one of those in a long time. But, it was steady fishing. Steady fishing, back to back to back rides. There were just no big ones. So, again, I'm not going to quit when the money's good. I'm not going to quit when I can make money and there's consistent rides coming in. And it was a little bit of spring fever tonight. It was Saturday. The weather was not unpleasant. It was a little chilly, but it wasn't unpleasant. So, no precipitation, no rain or anything like that. It's Easter weekend, so I think people are have friends in or family in from out of town or whatever. So there was a lot of people moving around. Inner Harbor earlier before sunset was just popping. It was a busy night. Like I said, there was consistent surge in and out of the night pretty much everywhere. Pretty much everywhere. There was a lot of pockets of surge, not always in them. Sometimes you just get sucked out of the bubble and you're out there in regular fare land while there's a surge cloud that you're trying to get to, but you can't because you keep getting ride requests. And to me, I only repositioned twice. One time I tried to get to Towson. I was very, very close. I was like in Overlea, which is not far, like 2-3 exits down the Beltway. And I was able to get into Towson. I got one ride with good surge that took me back to Baltimore. So, that was pretty much my only big reposition. And then I got sucked all the way out into like Sparrow Point, Dundalk, down by Martin's Airfield, and it was a dead zone. And I was driving like 5 miles to go pick somebody up in that neighborhood because I was the only guy out there, I think. So I turned off and got the hell out of there and got back to like Canton, Brewers Hill, so that I could at least start getting real rides where you're driving, a shorter distance to pick somebody up than you are to take them. To me, it's bad math. If I drive 5 miles to go get you just to take you 1 mile, that's stupid math, because I've driven 6 miles, but only gotten paid for 1. If I'm in Baltimore or DC for that matter, and I drive a mile or less, a half a mile to a mile to pick somebody up, to do the same, a mile, 2 miles distance trip, I'm okay with that. I think that's justified. But if I'm driving triple the distance or more than you're going to travel that I'm getting paid, stupid. So that's that. A couple people shot me some questions. Ironically enough, I think Facebook is trying to kiss my butt because I haven't really been online in a while. Because a lot of you guys are now popping up as my suggested Facebook friends. So I think Austin I added tonight, Ken added tonight. Ken, I haven't talked to you in forever, man. I need to track you down. It's been crazy and I have not had the opportunity to, but I will be on the road tomorrow, so I will try and track you down tomorrow. I'll shoot you a text and find out. But a lot of you guys I've been bouncing around playing phone tag with or text tag with. When I'm working steady rides like I was tonight, I'm not really chatty because I'm busy and I'm making money. So, it's one of those catch-22s. When I'm bored and it's slow is usually when I'm the most chatty. When it's busy and I'm making money, I'm not, it's not that I'm not thinking about you guys. I am. It's just that I'm not going to go offline to answer a text when I can get a ride instead. That's just bad business. So, Joanna asked me some questions that honestly I need to read while I'm not driving and then kind of like formulate answers to, because they were very technical. So, like, what do you do in the event of an accident and things like that? And, some of that stuff I'm going to be speculating on because I've never been in an accident with Uber or Lyft, except for that stupid thing where my mirror got taken off at the damn Kimpton in Baltimore that one day. But that was really minor, and honestly, I just put my foot in my mouth by even telling them. So I'll put answers together for those questions, Joanna. Bunch of you guys I really do need to keep up with, and I had a good couple suggestions about maybe doing like a local-ish meetup type thing. Maybe once in the Baltimore vicinity for the Baltimore drivers, and then maybe once in the DC vicinity for the DC Virginia drivers. And I think that'd be great. Coordinating it is probably going to be a logistical nightmare, but I think that would be great. Next week is going to be volatile for me. I have family coming in from England. I actually have my mom is British, so I have relatives of hers, my aunt and so on and so forth, who are still over there. And my aunt is actually flying over to visit. It was planned, before my mom had her stroke this week. So, but it's perfect timing because now she can come and check on her sis. She hasn't seen, my mom in 4 years. That was the last time she came over to the States. So with my mom moving into rehabilitation probably tomorrow for her speech therapy and her motor skills on that one hand, I'm assuming she's going to be there for a while, at least for a few weeks. But, I'll probably be kind of like a coordinator or liaison, facilitating that half of the visit. She's also visiting my uncle who lives in, DC, Virginia. So, so there you go. So I don't know what that's going to do to my schedule next week. But, I want to get back on track. Obviously, this was a screwy week. I lost Monday not feeling really good. I was under the weather. And then, of course, Thursday with what happened. So, 2 days is usually more than I like to take off in a week. I like to take 1 day off a week and work the remainder. Workaholic that I am, I guess. But, I would rather make $1,200 a week than $1,000 a week. Like right now I'm sitting at 800 and change, 847 or something like that, 867. I don't know. It's like somewhere in the 850 range. So, if I have a $200 day tomorrow, which is my new target, I don't walk from that number. I'm going to have $200 days, period. So $200 only puts me at $1,000, not my happy number. Not my happy number, guys. I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm not going to run myself over with the car over it, but not a number where I'm going to pat myself on the back and say, good job. It's just not. My expectations of myself are better than that. Now, $200 a day is $1,000 if you're working 5 days. It's $1,200 if you're working 6. So there's my math right there. And on a week like this week where I'm not going to get the Lyft power driver bonus, it's such a stupid incentive. And Uber didn't give me any DC incentives because I really haven't been in DC a whole lot. And I think I've fallen out of favor with them again. It's back to my own devices. So it's whatever I work. And that's why I was talking up that little Drive 4 Get X bonus that Lyft does. I can't remember who said it, but somebody said it in the comments today. I want to say it was David, but I might be wrong on that. But somebody said it in a comment today. I saw it in my email. That it's only as long as you start your first trip out of the 4 series, it keeps going no matter how long it takes to finish the 4 series, which is kind of cool if you think about it. Because if you do a 4 series and you finish, let's say at 357, and you have 3 more minutes and you start another one right at 358, then potentially you could just keep on grinding. I did not know that. That's awesome news. I'll have to be really watchful of that the next time they run that incentive. So, because I love that incentive. It's my favorite of the 3 varieties that I've seen. So we'll see about that. But speaking of the Lyft powered driver bonus, I have cats. My family has become kind of a cat family. We used to have dogs, and then we kind of migrated to cats. And that's what happens when you have kids, especially girls. I have a girl and a boy, so there you go. But herding cats is about as effective as trying to get Lyft's power driver bonus. And what I mean by that is, if you're trying to catch one cat in your house, maybe to put him in a pet carrier, to take him to the vet, or to give him a bath, or whatever, if you're trying to catch one cat and they don't want to be caught, that task is difficult enough. But trying to catch 3 or 4 cats and quote unquote herd them, like the commercial, I think it was a Budweiser commercial a couple Super Bowls ago, about herding cats or something like that. Maybe it was an insurance company. But if you YouTube it, there's a funny commercial of a rodeo of guys herding cats instead of cattle, and it's pretty amusing. It might be Geico. So it was one of those not as difficult as kind of funny punchline commercials. That power driver bonus is very similar. I've got to get my acceptance rating to be perfect. I've got to get my number of total trips to be perfect. I've got to get my peak hour rides to be perfect. And usually what ends up happening for most of us is we'll get, on any given tier, depending on how much we're driving, we'll get 2 of the 3. To me, and I may be different than the rest of you guys because I only work afternoon, evening hours. I typically don't work a morning rush hour. But to me, peak hour, the middle criteria, where you have to do so many trips during peak hours, that's the wild goose chase number. That's the number that they're just jerking your chain on because they know it's tough. Total trips, I always surpass that. Acceptance rate, that's usually not a problem. I mean, unless you get sucked into a thing where you're canceling rides excessively, that's not a problem. Because I think it's a 90%er. So, as long as you're doing the math in your head and you know how many total requests you've gotten, and then you can kind of in your head roughly estimate how many you've canceled, you can tell where you are ballpark. The math is funky because they don't publish the numbers anywhere, but it's not impossible. But the tricky one is they keep fiddling with the peak hour time frames. Monday was 3 to 7, now it's 4 to 7. Tuesday's 3 to 7, Wednesday's 3 to 7, Thursday's 3 to 7, Friday's 3 to 8 or whatever it is, 5 to 7. It's Saturday used to have peak hours, now I think it's only 3 to 6 or something. They just keep fiddling with them. There's no Sunday peak hours anymore. And I feel like what they're doing with that is they're trying to make that the intangible deterrent. If they say your minimum peak hours is whatever, 30 trips, and your average number of trips you're going to do, let's say not in DC, okay? Let's say in an area where you can't get pool, Lyft line, pool. The most trips you're going to complete in an hour with Lyft between 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock is probably going to be 2. Let's say 2.5, okay? You're going to get 2.5 Lyft trips completed per hour. So in a 3 to 7, so 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock hour, because at 6:59 the game's over. So you got 4 hours. 4 times 2.5 is 10. So in a good 3 to 7 block, with no interruptions, no long rides that take you 20, 30 minutes down the road, no lulls or dead zones where you don't get anything, you could potentially do 10 peak hour trips in one day, in one rush hour. But here's what really happens. You're going to average 2. I'm not taking too much off the edge there, but you're going to average 2. And I'll tell you why. You might be on a ride at 2:45 that's going to take you longer to resolve, so then you lose a little bit of your 3 o'clock hour. Okay? You're going to get a ride, but then you're going to be in a dead zone and you're going to need to reposition 5 minutes down the road, and then by the time you get another ride, you got to drive 5 minutes to pick them up, and then they're a 15-minute trip, and then you got to drop them off. You're going to get 2 an hour. That's 8. Now, if you're doing morning rush hour, evening rush hour, morning rush hour, evening rush hour, 5 days a week, 30's not bad. It's probably doable. Probably doable. But are all the rush hours going to be that effective? Are all the rush hours going to be that efficient? No. I mean, if you get stuck in Baltimore on Pratt Street, you're going to lose an hour on one ride. You get stuck on 295 or 95 or 695 or any trafficy road, Edmondson Avenue, 40, Orleans, wherever, MLK, 395 in DC, Connecticut Ave, you get stuck anywhere where there's congestion, and all of a sudden that one trip is going to eat up that whole hour. So is it average 8 per rush hour? Probably not. In a real world, it's probably not. It's probably average 5. Still doable, but now it's a lot harder. Because 5 times 6 days is 30. So now you got to work 6 rush hours and hope you average 5 to get that 30. And that's only getting you the first tier, which is $60. Whatever it is, $55, $60, $65, whatever it is. They kind of play with that number a little bit. To get to the second tier, it's exponential. It goes up a lot. I think it goes up 15 trips or something like that. So, it's a lot of trips that you got to factor into a smaller window. Now, those tiers don't change. Or, I'm sorry, the peak hours don't increase. When you go from tier 1 to tier 2, they don't give you any extra time. They don't say, hey, you have till 8 o'clock now. You still have the same limited amount of time. You do. Now, pool or line rides can be the variable. Sometimes they can be good because, let's say you do 3 pickup and drop-offs or 3 independent trips on one pool customer, one pool transaction. So that's going to count as 3 trips when it's all said and done. But 3 people getting in and out of your car, so 3 pickups, plus 3 drop-offs, so 6 destination points in rush hour in DC. Come on, guys. That's no less than 45 minutes. Easy. So now you've eaten up 45 minutes of one of your hours of peak hour time on 3 trips. That's tough. And that's why I say this peak hour criteria is the tough one. On paper, it looks great. Yeah, I can do 5 to 8 trips every peak hour or every rush hour. Yeah, it sounds great, no problem. And then you really try it and you realize you're going to run into problems. You're going to get a long ride that takes you out into the middle of nowhere, or there's a dead zone and you're just not getting ride requests fast enough, or you're stuck in traffic, and all of a sudden you start to realize it's like a tar pit. It's very hard to get the number of trips you need. Now look, you guys that are driving morning and evening rush hour, you're rolling your eyes right now because you know it's easier for you guys. But the expectation for you guys with 6 rush hours, I'm sorry, not that, 10, 2 a day, is really that you're not getting the first tier. You really need to be getting the second tier out of 6 rush hours or 10 rush hours, because you can average, 3 to 5 and get, 35 to 50 in no problem. So that's where I feel like, Uber's Quest is a more clean system. Yeah, it doesn't help you to drive when they want you to, but it helps you to drive a crap ton. They say get 60 trips, you're getting 60 trips, even if it means pulling your eyes out to do it. If they say drive 45 trips in 3 days, guess what you're doing? 45 trips in 3 days, at least. And we do. The lemmings that we are, we will chase incentives. But think about it. If they say drive 45 trips and we'll give you $60, do the math in your head. How much is that per trip? $1 and some loose change. If it was 45 trips for $45, that'd be $1 a trip. An extra $15 over 45 trips is 30 cents. So they're giving you $1.30 extra per trip. That's an extra mile they added onto your fare. Mile and a quarter, mile and a third, whatever. It's not really an incentive, guys. Now, if they say drive 20 trips and we'll give you $100, that's some math right there. That's some math. You want to see those $3, $4, $5 extra bonus per trip averages. That's when a quest or an incentive really makes it worthwhile. Because even the Lyft Power Driver bonus, total number of trips, 50. Bonus payout for the first tier, $60. So I'm going to drive 50 trips and you're only going to give me $60. I'm going to get $1 extra per trip. And I'm going to run myself crazy trying to get these damn peak hour trips. That's why the little mini drive 4, get $8. Drive 4, get $20. Drive 4, bite size, little bite size special, manageable, and no real funky weird requirements. I mean, yeah, they give you hour blocks, but they're typically rush hours anyway, and you're typically on the road when you get them. They don't usually send you that when you're offline. You typically only get it when you're online. So, just thinking about it, guys. But I'm done talking about incentives because I know I talked about them like 2-3 days now in a row. They're important. It's important that we talk about incentives because without incentives, we're getting fare. We're getting paid our fare. Without Quest, you're getting paid regular fare. Without Quest, Boost, incentives, whatever, you're only getting paid whatever the fare is that day. With Surge, you might get a bonus. You might get an incremental bonus to your fare. With a special, like a Drive 4 or an Uber Quest or a Power Driver bonus, you might get an extra $1 or $2 a trip if you do the real math in your head. How many things do I have to drive to get how much money? That's where you say, is it worth my time and effort? Because if they give me that little 4Z and they say drive 4 trips to get $20, 20 divided by 4 is $5, guys. I will drive to get $5 extra a trip in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. But if they said to me, drive 4 trips to get $6, ooh, $1.20. No, not excited for that. And I think that's the problem, is that for those of us that are juggling both, Lyft and Uber combined, we're chasing varying surge clouds, we're chasing varying incentives, and we're also trying to take every damn request we get. Every damn request we get. And maybe even we're being choosy, and we're picking and choosing when to take an Uber that's not in surge to see if maybe we'll cancel it and get a Lyft that is. So some of us are even playing the gamble game now. I'll accept an Uber that's taken me at regular fare out of the surge zone, but I'm going to give it a minute or two and see if I get a Lyft first, and I'll just cancel the Uber if I do, that maybe is taking me into the surge zone. So, that kind of gets advanced level a little bit, because now you're playing Adam against Eve, and you're kind of doing some little chicanery there, some little trickery to try and maximize your earnings. But, I turn down rides that take me away from surge clouds. If I know there's a surge cloud in Towson, and I'm on York Road driving towards Towson, and I keep getting ride requests pulling me away from Towson back into regular fare territory, no thanks. No thanks, no thanks, no thanks. I want to go into the cloud. I don't want to go away from it. I don't know if it's intentional. I don't know if the system is trying to be cheap. I don't know. I don't know why it does that, but I'll cancel the first one. If the second one does not pull me into the surge cloud, I'll go offline and just finish the 5 minutes reposition, because, I believe acceptance rate, or whatever you want to call it with Lyft and Uber, is significant at a certain level. Lyft sends you nasty grams when your rating drops below a certain point. Uber doesn't really care. But I'm thinking it affects us at some point. My acceptance rating on Uber right now is like in the 88 range. My cancellation rate is like 7-8%. So that's nominal numbers that are very okay. But I also take a lot of Uber trips. Half my business tonight was Uber, and that washes the number down a little bit every time. So there you go. I'm done talking, guys. My jaw hurts. I'm yawning my head off here, and I need to get some sleep. So sorry this one was long and rambling again. Maybe I'm making up for lost time and chatting your guys' ears off, but I'm trying to put you guys into what I'm thinking about right now, April 1st, 2018. Trying to give you guys a different perspective than maybe what I had